Thanks for staying tuned to the news at 10. Some Nigerians have described the government's response to the plight of their fellow citizens stranded in Libya as lackluster. To this end, they have staged a protest to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja, demanding that the federal government redouble its efforts towards repatriating Nigerian migrants stranded in Libya. The protesters, led by popular entertainer Mr. Charles Oputa, appeared in chains with their mouths sealed to symbolize the alleged plight of Nigerians and other African nationals in Libya. But Nigeria's head of mission in the country gave the assurance that the affected Nigerians will be protected and repatriated safely.
The giant of Africa has become the rat of Africa. It's a shame. I'm here in solidarity with my comrades, my children, my grandchildren, and this is the life I've chosen from henceforth to lead, to be that facilitating factor, to be the ginger, to encourage young, exceptional Nigerian youths, for them to know, for them to finally realize that the future of this country lies in their hands.
We normally visit the detention camp where Nigerians, they call them illegal migrants, are detained by the Libyan authorities. There are not only Nigerians detained, there are other nationalities like Ghanaians, Gambia. So Nigerian embassy visits that place to identify his own people. So we normally identify them, then we give them emergency travel certificate. Our duty as government is to protect both Nigerians that run foul of the law and Nigerians that are there. So when they are detained for whatever illegal migration, we are there with them. We exist in Libya to serve the interests of Nigerians, and we have been doing that.
The number of people living with HIV and AIDS globally is now estimated at 36.7 million. That's according to the Joint United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS. Nigeria has the second largest number of people living with the virus, with about 10% of that burden. These were some of the points discussed at the program organized by the United Nations Consulate General and the Lagos State University College of Medicine to commemorate the World AIDS Day for 2017. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, reports.
In spite of the gloomy information that Nigeria has the second highest burden of HIV/AIDS in the world, staff and students of the Lagos State University College of Medicine, LASUCOM, representatives of the United Nations Consulate General in Lagos, and the state government are happy that the number represents a 21% decrease in new infections in the country since 2010 and a 6% decrease in AIDS-related deaths.
The President's emergency plan for AIDS relief has helped to save lives and to transform the global HIV/AIDS response. Currently, more than 720,000 Nigerians are on PEPFAR-supported HIV treatment. Approximately 4 million Nigerians have received HIV counseling and testing services in 2017.
Remarks by representatives from the Society of Family Health and the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency reveal why people should voluntarily test themselves for the virus more often and how it would lead to greater access to treatment and good health.
It's not like your negativity is forever. You may live there and engage in a risky behavior and become positive.
Those that are known their status, the 90% of them, they must also be on what? On treatments. Those that are setting those drugs, 90% of them must have what we call viral suppression.
Female sex workers, men sexually intimate with other men, and illicit drug users, described as key populations, remain the greatest risk for the spread of the immunity-undermining virus. And while the state government affirms that it will not get in the way of the course of justice to these people, it has a responsibility towards them.
There are some people that's their job. They work with key population. Some of you have your shop, you have your offices where you can call them to come and be doing that testing. You need to, encourage that. They need to come to your facility. Even if it is the night, you can do 24 hours. For instance, there is what they call population council. They run 24-hour program. You can come around 2 a.m. to go and do your testing, and then they give you your drug.
Achieving a 90% reduction of the viral load in 90% of the affected population would set the stage for the 2030 target of 0 new infections and 0 deaths from AIDS-related causes. This is the goal of the cause against AIDS, and concerned parties say now is the time to act. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
The Ogun State government has begun a harmonized haulage revenue collection system to eradicate multiplicity in haulage tax revenue collection and improve ease of doing business in the state. At the flag-off of the scheme in Abeokuta, the state capital, Governor Ibikunle Amosun said the aim is not to inflict burden on residents, but to prevent loss of revenue to government coffers.
By the Honorable Commissioner for
the Ogun State government loses 5 billion naira monthly to illegal haulage collectors across 62 collection points.
For the welfare of our people.
The state aims to set the record straight with the launch of the Harmonized haulage collection system. The event attracted members of trade unions, security chiefs, market women and men.
This policy, when implemented, no doubt will further strengthening the top rating of our dear state in the World Bank Subnational Doing Business Index.
The harmonized haulage revenue tickets will be distributed through selected banks. By this new arrangement, revenue consultants, agents of collaborating MDAs, will now buy harmonized tickets and pay upfront less commission to the government covers, based on this target and benchmark set for them.
The governor, Ibikunle Amosun, reads the Riot Act to anyone or group caught making illegal collections.
Let it be known that any individual or group of persons found to be collecting haulage revenue without due approval will not only be arrested, but made to face the full wrath of the law. To be forewarned, they say, is to be forearmed. As your government, let me reassure all the good people of Ogun State that we will continue to come up with people-friendly policies and implement development projects that will further propel the socio-economic development of the state and improve on the welfare of our people.
The launch of this scheme, which the state believes is long overdue, will yield more revenue for the government to execute more developmental projects across the state if it's properly monitored.
Time for the business news of the day, and here is Anne Wanwodo.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Ladi. Welcome to Business News. The monthly PMI report released by FBN Quest today shows that Nigeria's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index fell sharply to 60.1 in November from 64.8 in October. According to the report, all 5 sub-indices also fell last month, with employment recording the lowest at 53.5 reading. The latest figure by the research firm is in contrast to the manufacturing PMI, which was released by Central Bank last week. It indicates a growth of 55.9 points in 8 consecutive sessions. Meanwhile, FBN Quest expects the headline reading to remain well above 50 points in December, but does not underestimate the impact of recession on consumer pockets. Nigeria's quoted and a leading financial institution, Axis Bank, wants to become Africa's dominant lender in banking services within the next 5 years, while unveiling its 5-year group strategy to the broker-dealer community of the stock exchange. The executive management explains how technology will shape the next phase of its banking services.
to people who continue to...
This meeting is not the regular facts behind the figures briefing of a listed company, but an expository session on Access Bank's investment strategies for 2018 to 2022, one that the stock exchange is delighted to have at this time.
The NSE Banking Index is up about 72% year to date as a result of what banks like Access Bank are doing to drive enterprise value. As you know, on the NSE platform, the market reacts to information.
The chief executive, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, explains how Access Bank's agenda becomes Africa-focused with 5 main objectives.
Our history as a wholesale commercial bank is one that everyone knows, and I think we continue to play a very significant role as far as that sector is concerned. We will dominate that market again over the next 5 years. We will focus on our global collaborations in the key gateway markets to ensure that we provide correspondent banking more and more to Nigeria, but as well as other African countries. And we basically lead as far as intra-African payments is concerned.
While retail banking will be boosted with more asset creation, the existing digital banking structure is to be upgraded.
We have personal banking, and then you have the SME banking. The bulk of the growth in terms of number of accounts that we're going to be growing, we're growing from a base of 7 million accounts, retail accounts, to 30 million accounts.
3 things that we do. We work with telcos, we have right technology, unstructured data, okay, where you don't really need much of internet, okay, offline, you can work offline, and then you have the right device.
Both SME and the retail is around 6-7%. I mean, over the next 5 years, we intend to increase that to maybe 10% of the total loan book.
With strong financial indicators maintained over the years in capital adequacy ratio, non-performing loans, return on equity and more, this 5-year strategy is yet another opportunity for investors to position for profits.
South Africans are bracing themselves for a fuel price increase this month as the country's economic situation remains weak. The country's Department of Energy announced today that it will raise the price of petrol by 71 cents, along with the price of diesel, paraffin and liquefied petroleum gas on Wednesday this week. The department attributes this increase to the rand's depreciation against the dollar during the period under review. The rand has depreciated from 13.62 to 14.10 against the US dollar. Bullish sentiments persisted in the equities market for the 4th consecutive session as the all-share index appreciated by 0.08% to close at 37,974.58, following demands from 3 sectors. To give us details on this is Emana Amawe.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The NSE's All-Share Index ended the first trading day of December up marginally by 0.08%, and 11 billion naira was added to the equities capitalization as financial markets maintained the bull run recorded last week. The positive sentiment was also reflected in the activity chart, with a total of 500.19 million shares in 4,966 transactions after financial markets resumed from the Muslim holiday declared by government on Friday. The price chart recorded moderate gains from 19 equities, led by a 10.12% increase from Cadbury, and losses from 25 equities, led by Fitson Healthcare. The consumer, industrial goods and insurance sectors closed positive, while the shares of custodian insurance was the most actively traded, with over 70 million units sold. And those are the day's trading figures. I'm Emana Amawe.
Our U.S. stocks traded higher a few hours ago as investor sentiments lifted by the Senate narrowly passing a major tax reform bill over the weekend. Let's take a look at the global figures for today. That's business news for tonight. It's back to you, Ladi.
You first. First Bank.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Manchester United will not appeal Paul Pogba's 3-game ban for his red card at Arsenal in the English Premier League. That'll be in the sports news. You stay on with us.